Hello, I'm Bet. We're going to be doing a little interview about the upcoming conference called Future Human. I'm with the organizer of Future Human, Tom Habib. Tom, welcome. And first of all, tell us a little bit about your background, just if people don't know you yet.
I am a clinical psychologist, and about 16 years ago, I got into integral theory, and it really changed how I practice. I had already been working with couples and families, and I was doing things I didn't quite understand. It didn't fit under any of the traditional psychoanalytic or systems theory um, models. And when I discovered Integral, it all began to come together and get enhanced what I was actually doing with couples and families. So that is my day job, still working with people. But at this point, as you know, I'm organizing the upcoming conference, Future Human.
Amazing. All right, so we're going to dive a little bit into this Future Human conference, and let's just first get some logistics out of the way. When, where, what?
So it will be in Denver, Colorado on May 16th through the 19th. And we picked Denver so it was relatively easy for people wherever they are in the country. And we also wanted a major international airport for the Europeans or South Africans that might show up. Um, and we wanted to hold the costs down so the younger generation could attend. For example, we were able to negotiate with NBC Suites $139 a night, and that includes breakfast in the morning and happy hour in the evening as all part of it. And if people really want to hold the cost down, you can have up to 4 people per room.
You know, I really appreciate you thinking about that. As a yoga teacher, I really like inexpensive, fun events to go to that don't kill my budget. So you have been partnering with someone named Paul Block. Can you
That's right.
first tell us about Paul and what you guys brainstormed together about what was important that you wanted to emphasize during this conference or this event, I should say?
Um, I put a plea out to the intro community when I started thinking about the future human, and Paul answered it. And I'll never forget my first impressions. He almost struck me as manic.
Mm-mm.
And essentially, as I began to listen to him, he was trying to tell me, Tom, you really need me. Paul spent a number of years in Japan studying Buddhism, and he's really a techno whiz that was able to design the conference. And I just thank the divine that he came into my life because he's really enhancing my skills. And we're really working as a partnership now, along with many other people and the Integral Leadership and Action team also. We're partnering with another group trying to actually make it work so that we can pull this off and help each other.
Awesome. So that was how you met, which is very exciting. And what is it that you were trying to emphasize? Because the theme is future human. So when you think about the future human, what is coming up for you and Paul?
There's a couple of things. We didn't want to just attract the integral community. We really wanted to attract anyone from consciousness studies and practices, spirituality, meta modern, and we wanted the conference to be wide open. We are selecting some speakers who are not outside of the integral community, but in our opinion, they're doing cutting edge work. That what correlates with that is looking for people that are already beginning to ask the big integrative questions that may not have been exposed to integral, but we know that when they get among these energetic people, they will feel what we all love about these gatherings. those experiences that we have collectively that we go, oh my God, what was that? And once you have those experiences, either individually or collectively, you begin to want to language it. And given that the goal was to attract people outside of the integral community, in addition to being a gathering for the veterans of the community, that's part of the reason why we're opening it wide open. And then finally, you don't have to know a thing about integral to enjoy this. Um, we will have pre-conference a short course on integral to review things like spiral dynamics and quadrants, so that you have some of the language that makes sense when people are speaking. But we're instructing all the speakers to emphasize the experience. We call that the state experience, the feeling of it, so that everyone can participate.
This is really exciting and really wonderful. And can you dig more into that state experience? How do you envision creating that state experience in the moment at this event?
Well, the people that will be speaking are kind of seasoned veterans. They know how to raise questions and time the moment so that people are tracking what's going on emotionally and experientially in that moment. And they're kind of in the groove of feeling it unfolding and opening and calling attention to that so that we become aware of our own capabilities of having deep, subtle feelings. That's what growth in consciousness studies does. It makes you aware of the deep, subtle feelings that you have individually, and also the ability to read other people. So I think that right now you can feel me trying to open that space with you.
Yeah, I think there's some way that maybe you're talking, like a certain cadence and eye contact, even though we're both on Zoom in different places. I am definitely getting some of those vibes. And now I'm imagining maybe two, 300 people together, all sort of on that same embodied wavelength. I think it's going to be quite intense and maybe a moment not to be missed, perhaps.
Yes, like I can feel you responded physically. I can feel you opening up as we do this. But you're right, with two or 300 people there,
Mhm.
finding that collective resonance and the energy it generates, we will do that a number of ways. There will be like small moments where we'll do a collective chant. There'll be moments that will call attention when the energy is really running high. And more importantly, we built in 15 minutes between speakers because people have their own experience of it and they want to share with people that are attending. And we know how valuable that is. Some of these people can become lifelong partners. When I look past my 16 or so years, there's people all over the world that I've met because I've had these experiences with them. And there's all kinds of papers I've written and talks I've given coming out of these experiences with people that I've gone to different conferences with. So you don't want to miss this. You don't get a lot of opportunity to be with energetic people over a 72-hour period.
Yeah, thank you for laying that out. That was really, really lovely. So let's talk about the themes that are underlying this Future Human event. Do we have certain kind of modules or like a thread that's going through, or how do you sort of envision that happening, Tom?
Well, we're intentionally picking people that know something about psychedelics,
Mm.
um, after this call, I'm reading a meeting with Chris Beisch. He was a professor in some university in Iowa, and he did multiple doses of LSD to try to read the deep subtle. And his book is incredibly powerful. He's well aware that this could be spiritual inflation,
Mm,
but he's reporting back what he noticed. And to give you a tidbit of what I love personally, is he's saying in this book that every time you have some sort of intuition or premonition of something that you could do or wants to unfold, it really is a higher collective intelligence that's directing our evolution so that we can participate at a higher level. And I don't know, this is a metaphysical speculation. And I love when people do this, especially people that are aware of it's speculation. It has to, the proof, empirical proof is another matter.
mhm.
But as long as you're aware of, anyone can speculate, but where's the proof? But most intellectualists love this type of speculation, and it goes to the theme of the conference, the future human. Other things we're going to talk about is artificial intelligence, because that is coming. It's here. We know it from Chat GPT. And if it doesn't have that soft touch of humanity and love, it could become dystopian. And that's why we want to begin to address these things. And looking at all of this psychedelic, artificial intelligence, education, politics
Mm,
has become so tribal. And you know it that as the red level of tribalization, where you're either with me or against me.
mm.
It's unfortunate that there are so many political leaders exploiting that in order to create communities, because we have a lot more in common than we have difference. But those are some of the themes across the board, but all of it's going to be oriented towards the future human.
You know, you're really inspiring me here thinking about that. I mean, until just recent, in fact, I think that psychedelics are still scheduled too in the United States. We are just barely scratching the surface of all these type of molecules and learning dosage, set and setting. There's just so much opportunity for us to get beyond the like this is, we're getting away from the negative psychology where it's like this person has OCD, how do we fix them? How do we take a normal human and make them their very best human? And I think we're just at the beginning of this, and I'm hoping a lot of people are going to come together who have ideas about how to do this from all different practitioners and different people, theologians, I don't know, everyone can come together with their own points of view. And how do we take these things, just like you said, psychedelics is just one area, technology is another that I'm also very involved in. But thinking about how do we keep it embodied, right brain, left brain, the chakras, all these things together with these interesting pieces that are coming. I think there's going to be a lot of interesting discussion. And the fact that you mentioned you're giving lots of breaks so that we can do that networking and like, oh my gosh, I had this idea during that presentation. That's really, really where the magic is going to happen. And these collaborations will continue over time.
That's exactly true. When people reach postmodernism, they begin to move away from dogma.
Mm,
Nobody's claiming, they have the answer. There are many systems of knowledge. When I was in graduate school, Bet, if you didn't have a theoretical discipline like psychoanalytic, behavioral, gestalt, and if you were eclectic, you were thought of as wishy-washy. It's very interesting now. They don't do that anymore because they're realizing, in order to address the human potential on the ground, and as you said, beyond pathology, what is our model of humans doing really well? Do we have a vision? To date, only spirituality has kind of addressed that. That's not entirely fair. Philosophy has addressed it also. But that's the beauty of integral theory is it draws from all disciplines and it says, what do you got to offer? On the ground, what are you telling us that can really accelerate the future human? What is psychoactive in your practices that really works?
Mhm.
So you know from your reading that Ken Wilber said Intro was going to hit psychology first, and that's certainly what I found. But that's the excitement of pulling together these thought leaders and really creating a forum among people, um, so that these ideas can cross-seminate and really stimulate each other. And even though we're focusing on the participants and everything, those of us who have been in the community, I'm still learning things that help in my areas of, like, I work with a lot of couples and looking at the highest stages of intimacy. And even there, I find it very interesting because couples say they want those highest stages of connection.
Mm.
But as that unfolds, one or more of the participants frequently contracts, they pull back, sensing the danger of that higher level of connection being exposed, and overcoming that is necessary.
Mm.
So that's one of the areas I'm going to be discussing at this conference. But this is what I love when we get a community of what Wilbur called a community of the capable who can dialogue about these things.
That sounds amazing. And I'm almost thinking of this as, a place to incubate a bunch of collaborations. So we think about the technologies that we have now that even 10 years ago we didn't have. We have so much more ability to collaborate so we can have this sort of long tail of interests where people are like, I'm really interested in this very niche thing, and they're practitioners from all over the globe, and now they can work together. And I'm hoping a lot of those folks will come to this event to look for other collaborators, and we can figure out how do we approach these collaborations with the same openness that we would with a great relationship with a loved person, right? How can we, whereas so many times we fall down to these lower levels in the spiral, and it's like, well, I'm going to just compete with you, or who's going to make the money on this one, or right? We get these kind of, uh, I don't know what you want to call them, but these what here they
Orange
are.
levels of concerns.
Yeah. Instead of coming up to yellow, turquoise, and beyond, where we're thinking more like we're impacting the globe, we're thinking globally, and how do we connect with the bigger mission? We just fall down and start bickering over little things. But yeah, this is really, really exciting. So speaking of speakers and presenters, how are you actually approaching this? And do you have any slots open in case someone's watching this who wants to present at our event?
There's definitely spots open as the date of this video. And
Wow.
go on weareicon.org and follow the link to the application to present. We will end up with far more speakers than number of slots we have. And the format's going to be featured speakers, and I believe we have 8 1-hour slots for that. I think we have 48 TED Talk slots. And anyone that has done TED Talks, they're usually 20 to 22 minutes. And we're building in air so that between talks, people can discuss what they heard, because we know that those discussions are crucial. And then the third format is, I think we have 3 workshops of 1 hour each. depending upon who applies. So this is an initial effort, and 2 years from now, when we do this again, we'll have a much more extensive venue. But as you know, this is about as ambitious as we wanted to get on our first run of doing an integral conference in North America.
That's amazing. So you've already talked about how you've made this cost effective. Really appreciate that. And I think my final question is really like, how will attending this event impact my day-to-day life when I go back home? Is this a good return on investment? Speaking of orange.
That is so hard to predict in each individual. So let me just narrow it down a little bit. And I would ask you to share too in a moment on this, being relatively new to Integral,
Hmm.
is people that first attend Integral, I think when they have those deep, subtle experiences in a group, I'll never forget when Diana Hamilton was talking about ethnic identity, and we were at a conference in the Boulder area, and there were people from all over the world. And the first question she asked was, what in your ethnic identity are you proud of? And, I mentioned American entrepreneurialism, and other people talked, from Germany, from Israel, from South America, from Mexico, all over. Then she said, what are you ashamed of? And we went around. I think I touched on the indigenous people of America, even though obviously it was way before my time.
Hmm.
And I'll never forget when the participant from Germany said the Holocaust. We were stunned and becoming tearful. I could barely speak. None of us were alive during that, but we felt the collective shame of it. For the rest of the conference, whenever we crossed each other, it was because we knew we shared something incredibly powerful. So you asked me, what will people walk away from with?
Hmm.
I would hope they're ignited in terms of their capabilities to feel deeply subtle, because the future human will feel in a very heavy duty empathic way each other. And in many ways, we believe that's why violence is dropping out. Even as we reach post-modernity, we feel each other at a level. How can we do violence to each other?
Hmm.
There's enough people at that stage of development that is changing the statistics.
Wow.
So those are the new people, the people that have been in this for a while. We learn something new all the time, but it's really interacting with each other and getting to see friends all over the world and connecting and planning things. Uh, what are you going to get? You're going to get things out of this you won't get any other place, because you're going to be around energetic people that know how to presence.
Amazing. I can't wait to get there, Tom. All right, so weareicon.org.
Org.
We Are Icon, I'll put it on the screen. We hope to see you there. Join us, and we will be putting out more information as we have more speakers. And we hope you apply to speak. Thank you all. I'm Beth Bullhofer. I've been here with Tom Habib. Have a great day. Thanks.